Midsection with severe thunderstorms. Heavy rain will accompany the storm, in some places blizzard conditions on the cold side of the system, and wind gusts to 80 miles per hour expected over the Great Lakes late this afternoon and this evening. As we go to the water vapor loop, I'll tell you that this storm comes on the anniversary of the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. You've probably heard the story or heard the song, and that was on November 10th, 1975. That iron ore carrier sank in southeast Lake Superior. Nobody knows really why, but it was certainly contributed to by the intense November storm that was moving across Lake Superior at that point in the mid-70s, 1975. And this storm will rival the strength and intensity of the storm that contributed to the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Take a very similar track, by the way, across the upper Great Lakes this afternoon and tonight. Water vapor shows the classic comma shape, and the low pressure center is right here in western Iowa, west of Fort Dodge, east of Sioux City. Already the pressures are very low, and the barometric pressure continues to fall very quickly. So this storm has a tremendous amount of atmospheric energy to work with, and by the time it reaches Lake Superior early tonight, it will be a historically strong Great Lakes storm. And again, the open waters of the Great Lakes could experience those 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts, 20-foot waves, massive beach erosion in some cases. Let's start our regional forecast, a regional current map tour actually in the Northeast. Weather conditions quiet here. Boston, New York City, variable clouds today. Precipitation is approaching, but it's tending to dissipate or dry up a bit in the dry air in the high pressure region around New York City, Hartford, and Boston. Pittsburgh, though, the atmosphere is rather moist near you, and you do have some rainfall, as well as Coudersport, Pennsylvania, Rochester, and Buffalo, New York. Elmira is 31, 25 in Albany. It's down to near 20 in southern New Hampshire under fair skies and light winds, but it's 50 in Elkins and in the upper 40s in Detroit, Michigan. Well, the warm air surging through the south on strong southerly winds. So look at this. Little Rock is 72. Memphis is about 70. It's 59 in Atlanta, but it could be close to 80 before the day is finished, and mid-70s are expected in Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Nashville. Since the warm front retreats to the north and a flow of air off the Gulf of Mexico will be happening in advance of this cold front. By the way, this cold front will sweep east and could bring pockets of severe thunderstorm activity to Alabama, North Georgia, East Tennessee, and the Western Carolinas by this evening. Right now, the greatest threat of severe weather, Arkansas to the southwestern sections of the lower lakes. That's right, Chicago, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch. Not a rather typical situation here in November, but since this storm is so intense, there's a lot of warm air being drawn to the north, and with tons of atmospheric energy approaching Chicago, look out for damaging winds, large hail, and even isolated tornadoes in the southern lakes today. Texas, you've got some heavy weather. Arkansas, a line of severe thunderstorms here, stretching all the way into Missouri's boot heel. St. Louis, heavy weather, frequent lightning, heavy downpours. Chicago, thunder showers now, but look at this line of storms developing to your west. They'll be moving your direction. That's the reason for the severe thunderstorm watch. We've got rain in the upper lakes, increasing wind, snow back here. It's beginning to pick up in intensity, and a foot of wind-driven snow likely from northeast Nebraska through northwestern Minnesota. Drifts in this region 4, 5, 6 feet. Travel conditions dismal, to say the least. Probably, in fact, impossible in some cases as the day unfolds due to the drifting, blowing snow. Visibilities near zero. Major low pressure center here. Look at the surface map. Look at all the isobars packed together. So this is already an immense November storm, and it's going to get stronger, believe it or not, during the next several hours. 56 in the warm air in Des Moines. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, though, thunder and snow right now. 32 degrees, 50 degrees in Phoenix. We've got a little snow in the Great Lakes region, and another Pacific storm moving in off the ocean, bringing some rain to San Francisco, San Jose, and Redding, and snow to the Sierra north of Interstate 80. Stay with us for much more on this big November storm.
Blizzard conditions and severe weather are possible as the first major storm of the season gains strength in the northern plains. A live update next on Weather Center.
We gave it exhilarating performance. performance, and the ultimate in luxury. Because we believe a great luxury car should do more than just take people where they want to go. It should bring them to their feet. The new RL from Acura.
Send your customers 2-day packages with FedEx and we'll deliver, even on Saturdays, for an extra $10.
Send your customers 2 to 3 day packages with priority mail and we'll deliver, even on Saturdays, at no extra charge.
Send your customers 2-day packages with UPS and we'll deliver. But not on Saturdays. Sorry.
So, what's your priority?
Good morning and thanks for joining us for Storm Watch. I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso. We are looking at a line of severe thunderstorms this morning all the way from Indiana southward into Mississippi, where we do have tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches. It's all part of a powerful storm system that is racing its way northeastward across the northern plains and brings back memories of 1975 when a freshwater fury, powerful gale system moved across the Great Lakes. And that's when we had the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So you might hear that on the radio today, and that's the reason why. November the 10th, 1975, we had a storm just like this. Let's take a look and see where that storm is and what it's doing to the nation. And you can see it is a real headache for travelers as we're looking at snow in the Dakotas into western Minnesota. Rain from Michigan southward all the way to the Texas coast. And out ahead of this cold front, we are looking at intense thunderstorms. We do see a lot of lines on the weather map. These are isobars, signs of the pressure. And with these isobars tightly packed, as we have a very powerful low pressure system, we are looking at an intense pressure gradient. So the winds have been howling from South Dakota into Iowa. Winds have been gusting 50 to 60 miles an hour. And as this intense low pressure moved up right over Omaha early this morning, the barometric pressure dropped down to 28.88 inches of mercury. And that made it the 5th lowest pressure of all time ever recorded in Omaha, Nebraska. So that just tells you how intense this storm system is. And with the circulation around the storm, so intense indeed, we are looking at the warm, moist air being drawn all the way up into Michigan. Look at this. It's 55 degrees in Green Bay, while off to the west, we're down to about 25 degrees around Pierre in South Dakota. So a good 30-degree temperature spread around the storm. And with those winds howling, look at the wind chills. They're getting down 15 degrees below zero. So if you do have to travel about in these areas today, snow-covered, ice-covered roads, very low wind chills. Be prepared for extreme winter driving conditions. As we show you the satellite, you can see the swirl right here coming out through Iowa, Minnesota. This is the center of our low pressure. Out ahead of the low pressure, we see the squall line going all the way down to the Gulf Coast. And after this storm moves out, another cold system dropping down the Pacific coast, and this cold system has deposited 1 to 2 feet of snow in through the mountains of Oregon overnight. Did see about a foot of snow around Meacham and 1 to 2 feet of snow in the Oregon Cascades. This cold system is dropping from Oregon down into California. Now, as we focus our attention on this low pressure moving up towards the Great Lakes, notice a darkening here in the water vapor. This is a dry slot, so we get the dry air aloft coming over the low-level, warm, moist air. So we're looking at a condition that is quite unstable here and leading the way to this intense line of thunderstorms that has been developing. As we take a look at that line of thunderstorms with our satellite radar composite and putting the little red specks on there, these are the lightning hits. And you can see where the line of storms is most intense with lightning from Tennessee down to coastal Louisiana. Severe threat is with us from Michigan southward down to Louisiana. Now you say, well, there wasn't much lightning up and through here, but we have those intense winds aloft, so any type of thunderstorm that does develop in this area will pull those winds down to the surface. So that's where we'll see the potential for damaging winds, straight line, coming out of Indiana and into Ohio. Winds will be blowing 60, 70 miles an hour. So we have severe thunderstorm watches in yellow and tornado watches in the red, and they extend all the way from the Great Lakes down to almost the Gulf Coast. Well, what's it look like on the radar for you? Well, this is the way it looks. Here you can see that line of storms, and this is the one we'll be watching today for severe weather and high winds and possible tornadoes. Vivian is standing by at the update desk. She'll get you up to date on who has the warnings, tornado or severe. That's right, after your local forecast.
Blizzard-like conditions sweep the northern plains as the same storm system triggers severe thunderstorms in other areas. Its potential impact on your weather next on Weather Center.
I could not believe how much cat hair the whirlwind picked up.
The greatest feature? No bags.
It's like a cyclone going on inside my vacuum cleaner.
It just came at the right time for all the filth that was coming through the house. It is not there anymore. It went through this thing and went away. Cyclonic action. It's the concept of...
But the main road is straight. Then you take a left and then a right, and he's on the left, but you got to go around because it's one way. You can't turn that way.
Get out of here.
Experiencing thegardenstate.com now.
Looks like there's a very large high-pressure system coming down into the northeast. There's going to be some big changes for us folks.
And not to mention that's going to accelerate the fall color shift.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. I love fall.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Time now for Storm Watch, and what a storm we're watching in the eastern U.S. We've got our low here, our front trailing back to the south, rain and also some storms associated with this. While here to the north, we have snow and we have very windy conditions. You can see how close together our isobars are, our lines of equal pressure. When we see that, we know we are dealing with some wind, and indeed that is the case here through the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes region. Very strong, gusty winds capable of producing damage and certainly capable of blowing the snow about and reducing your visibility here. But to the south we go, where we see rain and storms out ahead of this front. Plenty of warm, moist air coming in out of the Gulf of Mexico, and some of these storms could be a bit strong. The Carolinas back to the Gulf Coast, and you can see on the radar that there's still plenty of wet weather out there around Asheville and Charlotte. Look out Raleigh-Durham. It will be a while before you get out of the wet weather. Same goes for you in Atlanta. Still some rain around. It looks like it's going to last a little while longer. And the rain extending on southward into the panhandle of Florida. So Panama City, some soggy conditions. Mobile, but New Orleans, looks like you're out of the woods now. Northward we go, and it's going to be a bit of a soggy night for you in New York and Hartford and Philadelphia, as well as in Pittsburgh. Again, it will be a little while longer before the rain heads on out, and you can see the clouds associated with that. Plenty of clouds here and plenty of wet weather, and as we head on into this region, you can see our area of low pressure sort of spinning here through the Great Lakes region, and again on the backside of that low we are seeing some snow here through the upper Midwest. While we see that on the map, again the snow here, that includes you possibly around Minneapolis, St. Paul, while it's rain here to the east, and you can sort of see the swirl in that precipitation. We think you will have some wintry weather here for that morning commute in these areas, and certainly some windy conditions. As I mentioned, those winds over 50 miles per hour, a possibility here. And here's how much rain we're expecting and the snow. Stay tuned for more next.
What's being called a record-breaking November storm is holding the central U.S. in its grip. Find out if you'll see snow or rain and how long it'll last. Just ahead on Weather Center.
Do rich people have more friends than the rest of us? Are they more deserving of a comfortable seat? Are they more entitled to brake safely on a rainy day? Are we the only car company that doesn't think so? Century by Buick. Full of amenities for under $20,000. And now Century's an even better value. Save over $2,200 with 1.9% APR financing on every 99. Century by Buick. A luxury car for everyone.
A thought for those of you married to your job. Every once in a while, have a fling with your wife. Royal Caribbean, like no vacation on earth.
Somewhere there's a job where you can take time off for a cold. But until you find that job, there's Hall's Mentholyptus to soothe your throat and calm your cough. Hall's, we're going to work.
When the wind starts blowing, how do you protect your ears? Headbands feel uncomfortable. Hats squish and mess your hair. And earmuffs